y'all. Okay, so we just read the end of chapter 9 and chapter 10, and now we're going to read chapter 11, and that's called The Feast. May's mother was the last guest to come to our room. She was carrying 3 bags of food. I did a sniff. Something did not smell delicious. It was the stewed onions, I believe. Ugh. Also, it was the beans and the squash. My stomach did a flip-flop at that stinky smell. Ew. I took some deep breaths to try to calm it down. Here is a helpful hint. Deep breathing does not work that good when you are smelling stink. Finally, I said the word ugh, and I held my nose. Mr. Scary snapped his fingers at me. That meant, please let go of your nose, I believe. After all the guests were sitting down, Mr. Scary said a welcome speech to them. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our feast, he said. Room 1 would like to thank you for bringing this delicious food to help us celebrate Thanksgiving. After that, he gave the children a nod. And all of us shouted, thank you! A lot of rehearsing had gone into that. This is going to be a wonderful day, said Mr. Scary, so please grab a plate and let's get started. We let our guests go first. That is some kind of guest rule, apparently. Room 1 lined up behind them. Only too bad for me, because someone took the lid off the stewy, pewy onions and the smell almost knocked me down. My stomach felt sickish and rumbly. I hurried to the end of the food line. Mr. Scary saw me go, but this time he didn't get mad at me. Instead, he made an announcement to all the children. Boys and girls, today is a celebration of all the things we are thankful for. And since each of us is thankful for different kinds of foods, just take the food you love the most and enjoy every single bite, okay? All of us did a breath of relief. Well, then things got even better because Mr. Scary walked over to the supply closet and he pulled out one more bag of food for our Thanksgiving feast. And its name was Nipsy Doodles, shouted Lenny. Mr. Scary brought Nipsy Doodles. He ran to Mr. Scary and did a high five. After that, we could not wait to get our plates of food. It was the tastiest Thanksgiving dinner I ever even ate. I had turkey and carrot sticks and Nipsy Doodles and cranberry jelly. Herb had turkey and carrot sticks and 2 giant glops of applesauce. Lenny just had Nipsy Doodles and that's all. Plus also, he took 4 napkins. It will make my grandmother feel good, he said. After we finished eating, all of the children walked around the room, and we thanked our families for the food that they had brought. Thank you for your crunchy carrot sticks, I said to Herb's grandmother. Thank you for your hugey big turkey, I said to Lucille's Richie Nana. Your napkins were delicious, I said to Lenny's grandmother. After that, I thanked Mother and Grandma Miller for the cranberry jelly. Then Grandpa Frank Miller picked me up and he spun me all around real happy. Frank would be a fun in my real actual class, I believe. After we got done with our thank yous, Mr. Scary said he had one more happy surprise for us. Then he looked out in the hallway and he did a nod. And guess who came in next? It was Mrs. Gutzman, I shouted. It's Mrs. Gladys Gutzman, everybody. Mrs. Gutzman is the bestest lunch lady in the whole entire world. I sprang right out of my seat. Hello, Mrs. Gladys Gutzman. It's me. It's Junie B. Hello, Gladys. Mrs. Gutzman was holding 2 big boxes in her hands. She put them down and waved at me. Hello, Junie B. Jones. Hello, children, she said. Congratulations on winning the Thankful contest. And here's Mrs. Gutzman bringing in the pumpkin pie for the children. She took out a pumpkin pie and she held it up for everyone to see. Boys and girls, I baked these pumpkin pies for you myself, and I used my own family recipe, she said. These pies will just melt in your mouth. Lenny looked at me and rolled his eyes. Mine will be melting in the cleanup sink, he said. Ditto, I said. Ditto is the grown-up word for mine will also be melting in the cleanup sink. Herb's face looked bluish and sickish. I just want to get it over with, he said. Lenny nodded. Let's do it, he said. Let's hurry up and get our pie, and then we'll do a quick spit in the cleanup sink, and it'll all be over. Mrs. Gutzman started dishing out the pie. Me and Herb and Lenny took a deep breath. Then we quick ran to the pie table, and we each grabbed a plate, and then we ran to the cleanup sink speedy fast. We looked at the pie and made sick faces. Ugh. Then we took another deep breath. And ready, set, go. All of us shoved some pie in our mouths. After that, we stood there very still, and we just sat there. It felt cold and squishy. I smacked my lips a little bit. Herb and Lenny smacked their lips too. Then 1, 2, 3, gulp! We swallowed our pie at the exact same time, and wowee, wow, wow! That stuff was delicious, I tell you. My head had confusion in it. Wait, hold on! I don't get it, I said. I hate pumpkin pie, but this pumpkin pie tastes delightful. Herb smacked some more. Yes, he said, it does taste delightful. Here's a picture of them trying their pumpkin pie, and much to their surprise, they actually love it. Lenny did not talk. He was busy licking his plate. After he finished, he looked up and smiled. Mrs. Gutzman is magic, he said. All of us laughed real happy, 'cause that was the answer. Gladys Gutzman is magic, I tell you. We hurried back to the pie table for seconds. Thank you, Gladys. Thank you, I said real loud. This is the bestest first prize I ever ate. I ran and hugged her real happy. Mrs. Gutzman did a chuckle. Then she leaned down, and she hugged me back, and she said, do not call her Gladys. Chapter 12 is Happy Turkey Day. After all the pie was gone, I threw my plate in Mr. Scary's trash can. And oh dear, that's when I saw him. Philip Johnny Bob was still sitting on the desk with Police Sergeant Chuck. And I had forgotten all about that guy. I ran over and picked him up, and then I hugged him real tight. Philip, I said, how did I forget you? You have been sitting here for 2 whole days, and you did not have one thing to eat, did you? Philip nodded his head. I know it, he said. I would really like some cranberry jelly right now. I patted his softy head. I know you would, Phil, but you can't have cranberry jelly, remember? We tried last Thanksgiving, and you still have the cranberry stain right on your mouth. Phil quick wiped his face. Oh, yeah, right, he said. He looked at the feast table again. Is there anything I can eat over there, he said. I did a sigh. I don't know, Phil, I said. At home, I just shove a peanut up your trunk. But no one brought nuts to the feast today. I pointed to the carrot sticks. What about those, Phil? Would you like me to put a carrot up your trunk, I asked. Phil shook his head no. That would look gross, he said. I nodded. Yes, you're right, I said. It would look gross. Then I looked all around, and then all of a sudden I spotted a brand new bag of Nipsey Doodles. They were sitting right on Mr. Scary's desk, and a Nipsey Doodle was just the right size for Phil. I quicked open that bag, and I put a doodle in its trunk. Yum, said Philip. This doodle is delicious. Thank you, Junie B. Thank you. Just then I heard a loud voice in my ear. Hey, hold it! Those doodles don't belong to you, mister. You are under arrest. I quick spun around. That voice was coming from May, but she was pointing to Police Sergeant Chuck. She hurried to Mr. Scary's desk, and she quick picked him up. And then, boom! Out of nowhere, Chuck bopped Phil right in the head with his trunk. "You stole a Nipsey doodle, and stealing is against the law," he said. Then May tried to take the doodle right out of Philip's trunk, but Philip ducked around her. Everyone looked to see the commotion. Mr. Scary frowned real big. May started to holler. "None of this is my fault," she said. "Peanut Butter and Johnny has a Nipsey doodle in his trunk, and Junie B stole it for him." I stamped my foot. "No, I did not," I said. "Nipsey doodles are part of our Thanksgiving feast, and feast food is for sharing." May stamped her foot too. "But that wasn't sharing food, Junie Jones. That was a brand new bag, and it belonged to Mr. Scary." Then May tried to pull Phil away from me, but I pulled him back. Plus Philip bopped Chuck on his head, and then all of us got ready to wrestle. Only before we could even get started, Mr. Scary jumped in right between us, and he stopped us from bopping each other. "Girls, girls," he said, "that's enough. Have you forgotten that we have guests?" Me and May looked at our guest. May's mother was frowning at us. And here is Philip Johnny Bob and Police Sergeant Chuck fighting. Mother and Grandma Miller were frowning at us too. I glanced at my grandpa Frank Miller. He did a wink. That was refreshing. Mr. Scary kept right on talking. "I really don't understand what gets into you girls when you pick up those elephants," he said. "It's such a puzzle to me." I thought for a second. Then I did a little shrug. I don't know why it's a puzzle," I said. "Me and May are just playing with our elephants, and elephants like to bop each other." May nodded her head. "Yes," she said, "that's what their trunks are for. Trunks are for bopping, and that's how elephants play." I thought some more. Then I looked at May. "Yeah, only maybe Mr. Scary doesn't know that, May," I said. "Maybe he doesn't have an elephant at home." May did a pause. "Oh, right," she said. "I never thought of that." She looked back at Mr. Scary. "Well, anyway, that's how elephants play," she said. "And so Junie Jones and I automatically know that." I smiled. "Yes," I said, "we do." Then, all of a sudden, blink, and a light bulb went right off in my head. I did a gasp. "Mr. Scary, Mr. Scary, you were right," I said. "Even though Meg and I are very different from each other, we both love elephants. And so that is how come we were almost being friends just now. Because we have something in common, just like the Pilgrims and the Native Americans." May looked curious at me. "Yeah, but we're not really friends, right, Junie Jones?" she said. "It was just this one time, correct?" "Correct," I said back. "We can't be friends forever, May. That would be ridiculous. We don't even like each other." May got relief in her face. "Whew! Okay, good," she said, "because I really like being different from you." "I know it, May. I like being different from you, too. Very different." May smiled. I smiled back. Then I tried to do a fist bump with her, but she did not see it coming, and I accidentally hit her in the arm. "Ow," she said. "Sorry," I said. May shrugged her shoulders. Then she rubbed it off. After that, we both skipped to our seats with our elephants, and we hugged our elephants real tight. It was a lovely moment, I think. But all of a sudden, it got interrupted by shouting. I quick looked up. It was Sheldon and Uncle Vern and Grandpa Ned Potts. "Happy Turkey Day! Happy Turkey Day!" they shouted real loud. All right, again, I'm running out of time, and that is the first half of chapter. Ooh, yeah, it is the last chapter, and I only got a few more pages left, and I'll finish that video in a minute, but right now I'm gonna run out of time, so I'll see you in a minute.